These videos are strictly only for entertainment and educational purposes. I do not encourage or endorse to any of the behaviors of the people I am talking about in my videos. On June 13, 1969, William Martin brought his two sons, Douglas and Dennis Martin, and his father, Clyde, on a camping trip. It was Father's Day weekend, and the family planned to hike through the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The hike was a family tradition for the Martins, and the first day went smoothly. 6-year-old Dennis managed to keep up with the more experienced hikers. The Martins met up with family friends on the second day and continued to Spence Field, a highland field in the Western Smokies popular for its views. As the adults gazed at the scenic mountain forest, the boys snuck off to pull a prank on the parents. But it did not go as planned. During the prank, Dennis vanished into the woods. His family never saw him again, and the child's disappearance would launch the largest search and rescue effort in the park's history. Dennis Martin set off on the hike wearing a red t-shirt. It was the 6-year-old's first overnight camping trip. The youngest in his family, Dennis must have been excited to go on the annual Father's Day hike in the Smoky Mountains. On June 14, 1969, the hikers reached Spence Field. After meeting up with another family, Dennis and his brother split off with 2 other boys to play together. William Martin watched as the children whispered a plan to sneak up on the adults. The boys went into the forest, though Dennis's red shirt stood out against the greenery. Soon, the older boys jumped out, laughing, but Dennis was no longer with them. As the minutes went by, William knew something was wrong. He began calling for Dennis, confident the boy would respond. But there was no answer. The adults quickly searched the nearby forest, hiking up and down several trails looking for Dennis. William covered miles of trails, frantically calling for Dennis. Without radios or any way to communicate with the outside world, the Martins came up with a plan. Clyde, Dennis's grandfather, hiked 9 miles to the Cades Cove Ranger Station for help. When the night came, a thunderstorm moved in. In a matter of hours, the storm dropped 3 inches of rain on the Smoky Mountains, washing out trails and leaving behind no evidence of Dennis Martin, whose footprints would have been swept away by the flood. At 5 a.m. on June 15, 1969, the search for Dennis Martin started. The National Park Service put together a crew of 30 people. The search party quickly swelled to 240 people as volunteers poured in. The search party soon included park rangers, college students, firefighters, Boy Scouts, police, and 60 Green Berets. Without clear directions or an organizational plan, the searchers crossed the national park looking for evidence. And the search continued day after day, with no sight of Dennis Martin. Helicopters and planes took to the air to search a growing patch of the national park. On June 20th, Dennis's 7th birthday, nearly 800 people participated in the search. They included members of the Air National Guard, Coast Guard, and the National Park Service. The next day, the search efforts peaked at an astonishing 1,400 searchers. A week into the search, the National Park Service put together a plan for what to do if they recovered Dennis's body. And yet over 13,000 hours of searching ended up with nothing. Unfortunately, the volunteers may have accidentally destroyed clues about what happened to Dennis Martin. As the days flew past, it became more and more clear that the boy would not be found alive. The search and rescue effort gradually lost steam with no sight of Dennis Martin. The Martin family offered a reward of $5,000 for information. In response, they received a flood of calls from psychics claiming to know what happened to their son. More than half a century later, no one knows what happened to Dennis Martin the day he went missing in the Smoky Mountains. The most plausible theories range from abduction to having died of exposure and eaten by a bear or feral pigs in the park. But some people believe Dennis Martin was the victim of a more vicious attack by cannibalistic feral humans who are said to live undetected in the national park. And the reason nothing was ever found of his body or clothing was because they were hidden far from view in the safety of their colony. For their part, Martin's family believes someone may have kidnapped their son. Harold Key was 7 miles from Spence Field the day Dennis Martin went missing. That very afternoon, Key heard a sickening scream. Then Key spotted an unkempt stranger running through the woods. Was the event connected with the disappearance? The 6-year-old may have wandered off and found himself lost in the woods. The terrain, marked with steep ravines, may have hidden Martin's body, or wildlife might have attacked the child. Years after Dennis disappeared, a ginseng hunter found a child's skeleton about 3 miles downhill from where Dennis went missing. The man waited to report the skeleton since he'd illegally taken ginseng from the national park. But in 1985, the ginseng hunter contacted a Park Service ranger. The ranger put together a group of 30 seasoned rescuers. But they could not find the skeleton. The mystery of Dennis Martin's disappearance will likely never be solved, despite the massive effort to find the missing boy. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and also subscribe for more. See you next time. Bye.